What is up? What is up, Badge Brigade? Welcome back. And I hope you watched. I hope you watched yesterday's show because we nailed it. We nailed it. We're going to get Judy and we're going to get Kittle this week. And they were the absolute stones for leverage. 5th and 6th round picks. Everybody was scared. The phone shitter bros were so scared to click that player with the question mark tag. And we got them. We got all the leverage. We got all the percentage moving into Sunday night. Now, the Thursday night game admittedly didn't go as optimally as planned. We thought it was going to be a win fest. We thought they wouldn't be able to throw the ball. We were on the running backs. We were kind of off Cooper. We were kind of off the tight ends. But hey, we got outs. We gave ourselves outs by having this leverage moving in. But enough about me. Enough about the good stuff. We got recurring guest, friend of the show, Mark Garcia, NBC Sports Edge, 1 week season. Let's bring him in. What's going on, Mark?
What's up, dude? Thanks for having me back, man.
Yeah, let's keep this train rolling. What do you mean? You're part of it now. You're part of it.
That's right. Let's go every week, baby. What was it? What'd you call it? Badge Brigade? That was a new one.
Yeah, that's a new shout. That's a new shout that I think Nez came up with that one as a real nice, the good people that happen to be watching, part of the Badge Brigade. I like it.
Yeah, dude. Hey, note for you. You should have been talking to me before the game yesterday with your intro with the wind, man. I gave a full aviation weather breakdown of the game environment, and that was available to 1 week season Inner Circle members only. So everyone got the
promo code.
Yeah, promo code Hilo. Sign up. Peace.
That's good. Yeah, well, okay. So what I was reading, I'm part of it. I didn't happen to read that. But what I was reading was crosswind, not north-south. Like in terms of not actually north-south, but in terms of field orientation, I was reading crosswind 20 miles per hour. And that just screamed like really bad. And that's kind of what we talked about. Did you arrive on similar?
The orientation, we're going to super nerd out, dude. The orientation of, what is it? First century field, whatever the hell. What's the field? Whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. Who cares? One with the elf in the middle.
The one with the elf and where those brown dudes play. That sounded bad. The Browns where they play. The orientation is about 3-5 magnetic. That means 0-5 magnetic. So 25 degrees right of true north magnetic. That the winds were forecast when I think the other major dudes who were doing the weather forecast, I don't want to call anybody out, but I think most of them were utilizing current conditions. And the forecast was for Cleveland International, which is close to where that stadium is, was calling for a shift in the winds after about the first quarter.
Interesting. I like it.
Okay. So as opposed to being primary crosswind component, after about the first quarter, they're expected to go to only about a 30-degree crosswind component, with the winds dying to about 12 miles per hour. So the crosswind component after the first quarter was expected to only be about 4 to 6 miles per hour. So we saw it on the first kick where it completely got shanked. On the Boswell, got pushed, and then after that, they were all pretty true.
That's interesting. Well, yeah, I mean, and for those who don't know, the reason that Mark knows all this stuff is he was a fighter pilot. He was Top Gun. We're gonna hype him. No, legit story. First time I ever spoke to Mark's mom, she told me, "Don't worry about it. He can drop a bomb into a window from 20,000 feet in the air. He'll figure it out." Honest to God, true story. That was words out of her mouth. So,
people are like, "Why did you talk to my mom, dude?"
No, it's just hilarious, man. That's crazy that you got. That's hella detailed reports, because we're just looking on Twitter at wind and following, Roto Grinders wind guys and stuff, and whoo.
Yeah, you called them
out. I love it. Holy. What'd you see last night? Did you see anything noteworthy? Did we see any big takeaways from last night's game?
Trubisky sucks, and Chubb and Hunt are just trucking along doing their thing. I hit both overs. That's pretty much it, dude. Not a lot to talk about.
Trubisky's so weird because like that Trubisky over Mahomes will be talked about forever. Like forever. And it never really fully made sense either. Like Trubisky never played. He played those UNC years and he was like a starter for 1 year. Like big arm, awful footwork, weird hitch, like coming out, like that sort of stuff. And it was just kind of like, I don't know. Like he's just he looks like he should be able to do better, especially with the weapons around him. But like he misses by 5 yards on throws all the time.
You saw it last night, man.
It's just okay. Yeah, this is a career backup quarterback who's just going to be around, but he's not the guy, man. Maybe they come back 10 days off. Kenny Pickett next week. Who knows, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. The rumblings amongst the fan base in Pitt, there's been some calling. There's been some calling for with Mike Tomlin's removal, so we'll see how he handles that pressure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, weird decision, the taking the points, 4th and 1 at the end there, and they're down 9, and he goes, oh yeah, we're going to take the points, and kicks the field goal at 4th and 9, and then goes for the onside kick. It's just like classic fish move. Like, how have you been around this long as a head coach in this league and you choose take the points there, right? Like,
yeah, Jeff Fisher was laughing at him probably from home.
Right, yeah. And like Mr. 7 and 9 himself is laughing at you like you got problems, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Have you dove into these BR drafts yet right now, or have you
not this week? So my intention, well, I've looked at the state of the drafts themselves, but I haven't dove into them streets myself.
Okay.
The plan was to get into it Wednesday and Thursday, and I got pushed like super far behind on the real estating. So I had to prioritize like right in the edge and getting some OWS stuff up. So I didn't draft. I like threw in some late contests into DraftKings last night for Thursday, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, you know what? I was just thinking while you were talking there, like I just got to hit you with the hard-hitting questions here. Like we're talking shop here, but I'm thinking, are you the only white Garcia not named Jeff Garcia on planet Earth?
Might be, dude. And I like Jeff Garcia because there's not many Garcias with red hair. So that's like super rare.
He's like the biggest outlier of them all.
Yeah, he's the Scottish Garcia.
Dude, he won the Garcia GPP. That's what he won. He was such an outlier. Jeff Garcia shipped. Good CFL boy, too.
I was until I had kids, dude. I have 2 of my kids are like blonde hair, blue eyed, and one of them's a boy. So he's going to be like the whitest, the biggest carrying outlier. On the namesake. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, without diving in too far, I don't want to give up the paywall content because I want people to be at OWS because the Inner Circle is legit. It's got some of the best shit going on. Jam to Win coming out from the shadows this year. Like he used to just, he had the company, but he was kind of in the shadows, and now he's coming out and he's doing all this social stuff. He's on with Pete. He's on with whatever, like putting himself out there. And I'm loving this because this site needs the push, right? It needs people to recognize how good it is and how different it is, like in terms of mindset and whatnot. But diving into your end around stuff for this week, can you give us a couple, maybe a little sprinkling of what you're coming with tomorrow with the restrictive and the expansive chalk? And can you remind everyone what those two terms mean quickly?
Yeah, so we wanted to classify chalk because chalk develops everywhere on every slate. We wanted to classify chalk into more actionable pieces and think about how these different pieces of chalk will interact and what it means for the rest of your roster. So restrictive chalk is an expensive piece of chalk where it restricts your maneuverability over the rest of your roster. You can think of that as probably more harmful to the overall GPP play because you're competing against a field whose kind of rest of their roster kind of is built very similarly because it restricts kind of your maneuverability. Expansive chalk is the exact opposite. It's the low cost guys, the backup running back who, comes in, which we've had twice already this year and they haven't been chalk, the backup running backs, which is interesting. But yeah, it's like the backup running backs who come in, the $3,500 wide receiver who's supposed to be starting and wasn't. But that's why the chalk develops. And then the expansive pieces, it doesn't necessarily, playing those guys doesn't necessarily mean that the rest of the roster will look very similar.
Gotcha. Yeah. So let's port that to the BR streets. And hey, you said shout out backup running backs that should have been chalk and whatever. Like, I was so happy that Jeff Wilson wasn't, because I won 2 single entries last week on DK because of Jeff Wilson, or like in theory because of Jeff Wilson. So that was kind of cool. But he should have been some nice chalk last week and just kind of didn't end up with the ownership there. But let's flip that in terms of these BR. And my mindset is Expansive is late round ADP targets, and Restrictive is high end ADP that you have to build your rosters around, that everyone else builds your rosters in the same way. So if we're looking at ADP this week and we're seeing Josh Allen and Diggs like all the way pushed up, well, that to me is Restrictive Chalk, right? Because everyone who builds out Josh Allen is going to build out Josh Allen with a similar thought process. They're going to build it out with Tyreek Hill as a bring back in the second round, and then maybe they'll sprinkle in like a 4th or 5th round Gabe Davis, right? Is it something I want in my portfolio? Yes. Do I need exposure to that? Yes. But do I want to be at the field in terms of ownership? Yes, because I don't want to be over on a piece like that can actually negatively impact my roster going forward when I'm in a situation where I'm trying to chase unique points in a slate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. And you have to also think of it. It kind of goes even further beyond the idea of like being even overweight or underweight the field, because that's kind of, I think, where the field is stuck at. The field is probably in these contests, they're probably thinking like, I want to either build in my leverage by fading a highly owned situation, or I want to be underweight, or I want to match it and just allow the variance to take over throughout the rest of my portfolio. But what the field is not doing is they're not looking at like continuing that example, like the case of Buffalo. They're not looking at it like, how does Josh Allen fail? Is it likelier that Josh Allen and we'll just combine Stephon Diggs into Josh Allen? Be like, how does that block?
It's hard to obtain. That's one thing that it's easy to obtain in DK because you can build that way. It's hard to obtain with the way ADPs are right now. So I think building him into Gabe Davis makes more sense, just from a thought process standpoint.
Then continuing that discussion, if the field, every entry or every draft in this contest for on the Battle Royale is going to have Stephon Diggs in the first round, right? That's where he's going. Right. It's going to happen. So like, by not getting him on a BR roster, you're not saying like the Buffalo Bills are not going to score a lot of points this week, because they're highly likely to. Now, on the counterpoint to that, one, I don't think you have to bring it back with a Miami piece. I don't think you have to be targeting that game environment, because there are viable tributary game scenarios in that game where Buffalo just comes and waxes Miami. Miami has a bottom 5 offensive line. Buffalo has a top 2 defensive line. We know they have injuries in the secondary, but if the pass rush is getting home, particularly off the left guard, so like Von Miller on the right side is going to be going at that offensive line's weakest link. Eric Lambert, I forgot his name even, but he's given up like 6 pressures through 2 games, which is like a revolving door basically.
Yep.
So if you think about like, what does not having, I'm going to try and tie the loop here. What does not having Stephon Diggs mean? It doesn't necessarily mean that Buffalo fails, but there's ways to build around that game environment that the field is probably not thinking about. One is like Stephon Diggs with no Miami bringback. Another is like, think about what is a valid way for Stephon Diggs to fail? Well, probably the easiest is the touchdowns don't flow through him, as opposed to Buffalo's offense is failing. So if that's the case, targeting guys like Gabe Davis, targeting guys like Gabe Davis with no bring back is going to be probably pretty under-owned. Dawson Knox, if the touchdowns aren't flowing through Stephon Diggs, like Dawson Knox has like 2-3 touchdown potential in his range of outcomes. So
yeah, one step further to embrace even more variance, one off Devin Singletary,
That's too crazy for me, bro. I ain't doing that.
Just as like a one piece in that game environment, they get down to the goal line twice on 2 big Diggs plays, and he happens to be the guy that punches those 2 in or something like this, and you all of a sudden have an undrafted, like way back in the ranks guy that is now, oh yeah, he's got 56 yards and 2 scores. Maybe not in the optimal, but maybe good enough to win by not fading that game environment, but being the auxiliary component to that game environment that you needed outside of, everyone has Diggs, right?
Yeah, I think just the big learning point there is, I think the field is too binary with how they're viewing game environments. It's like, I want to be all in this game environment, or I want to fade this game environment. And it's like, well, yeah, those are like 2 of the 8 valid game flows for a given game, right? So like then 6 of the different game scenarios of how the game could play out are like not accounted for in a given week. So especially in a week like this where there's like 6 high profile games instead of like 2.
Well, comparative to last week, there's 6 teams with a total over 24, 23 and a half, something like that. Like we have Chiefs, Bills, Bengals, Eagles, who else am I missing?
Said another way, there's 6 total games of a 13 game slate that have a game total over 47 points. Last week we had 2.
So, right. So that's speaking to purely environment. Like, no, it's so true, right? And I think that means it extra incentivizes us to get weird this week. Is kind of how I view that. Do you tend to agree with that?
Yeah, and I think it doesn't take as much as you think that it does. I mean, that idea of like getting weird might sound like, holy shit, I got to draft like 3 4th-round players in the first 3 rounds because I want to get weird. It's like, well, not really, dude. You just got to be thinking about like how these game environments could play out and what the field is not doing. That's just getting weird, right? It's just doing things that the field isn't doing.
Yeah, one of my favorites that I was suggesting to that was I really like the Hurts stack and the Hurts sometimes Hurts double and that because tight ends kind of quote unquote thin always. But instead of that, doing a Miles Sanders one-off or a Miles Sanders plus Terry late because there's a player who's undrafted, whose volume we think is trending in the right direction, who in the same narrative as I used with Singletary before could be the piece that gets all the touchdown volume, right? And he's going completely undrafted. So we still have exposure to that game environment. We just are scoring points in a completely unique fashion, whereas everybody else is pounding their desk going, fuck me, I should have drafted him. I have Hurts and I have 70 whatever percent of AJ Brown in the 3rd round, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think the Washington Commanders, it's so weird saying that.
Say Washington.
The Washington guys who play football, they're an interesting case because the Philadelphia defense is probably going to be mixing up the way that their scheme is designed defensively. They like to mix up their blitz packages and they like to mix up their coverages. But if you think about like the overall scheme of when they are in man, it's typically a cover 1 man with 1 high safety.
Yep.
So if that's the case, we're likely to see Darius Slay on Terry McLaurin for the most of the man coverage snaps, which means James Bradbury, who's like a top 10 cornerback this year. He's graded like 9th by PFF this year, but like Darius Slay is like 2nd. But still, like Jahan Dotson is matched up away from Darius Slay and is basically PFF's 13th ranked overall wide receiver, and he's a rookie against man coverage.
PFF has him 13 versus man?
13th versus man, yeah. Curtis Samuel is 12th versus zone. So Curtis is kind of the zone beater, the underneath guy, standard like slot receiver, like Cole Beasley, just perennial zone beater, right? That's Curtis Samuel. But Jahan Dotson is like beating man coverage, like whipping boy style, like hard. Which is interesting against James Bradbury, who is playing at an elite level this year, but is no Darius Slay.
Right.
So that'll be interesting, I think.
Well, I mean, I think the one draft we did today that we drafted him together, and the crazy thing about Dotson is 99% of snaps last week.
Yeah.
99. He played 73 snaps. Like he scored a touchdown in both weeks. The big yardage games aren't there, but if we look at the way he's beating and we look at his usage right now, why not in this game environment, right? I like that shout for sure. I'm gonna pull up ADP right now. Let's keep this one kind of short today. Friday, busy day for everybody.
Happy hour, bro.
Happy hour. Yeah, we gotta get after it. Actually, yours truly's gotta keep it clean. Gotta play some puck tonight. Good
Oh, a little
Canadian
stick and puck,
kid.
eh?
Yeah, a little good stick and puck.
Oh, nice, dude.
Let's see here. I want to pull over this and the ADPs. Just looking at the main slate here and talk through a couple targets. Can you see that? Or you want me to? I'll zoom that in for you.
Yeah, it's there, but it's.
Can you see it yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about. We've done this once on the show already, and we did it for last night's slate. And I think it's just a good way to get our mindset in the right spot is to think of a two-man stack or stack in a game environment or two-player stack kind of at the front end of this board that jumps out to us. So favorite two-man stack amongst this grouping on the screen, plus I can scroll a little bit further down. What jumps out to you?
I mean, right off the page, obviously, I think we ran this as well when we drafted earlier in the week is Justin Jefferson and Amon-Ra.
Yeah.
That game environment is just kind of off the charts, up there with Buffalo and Miami.
One thing I'll add to the Amon-Ra is Harrison Smith now out, right? So now you're missing a safety, a very talented safety in that secondary as well, which just speaks even more to the ability for him to get loose, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And, I like.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, I like that one a lot. I really like, in a weird way, I really like the Kelsey Taylor when it falls to the back end of the first, and then just kind of leaving the rest of that game alone, not trying to guess on the KC pass catcher side, and not necessarily even stacking with Mahomes, but just getting the leverage of the best tight end play, in my opinion, on the slate, and who we thought the 101 was all calendar year, and getting that kind of over and over at the back end of this board. You agree with that one?
I like that a lot. And there's a couple of like mantras we have at 1 week season one. The first one is always one Viking. It's just like such a high powered concentrated offense. You just like always want to have a Viking on your squad.
I like it.
The other is like play top end talent at low ownership. So like for this week, I think Travis Kelce and Jonathan Taylor are projected for like sub 3% ownership in DFS.
Oh.
So while that's not likely to carry over directly to these best ball drafts, that
it won't. They'll both be 100% owned based on their ADPs. But
but that like idea of targeting a game environment that the masses aren't on heavily and putting it together and taking the primary pieces of that, I like that a lot there.
Yeah, so the same principle applies. It just may not apply directly to Taylor and Kelsey in the BR streets. It'll apply to when we look a little bit deeper. Do you have a favorite cheap two-man when looking at the ADPs?
It would probably be in that Philly and Washington game. I'm pretty high on that game environment this week. I think people are going to be drawn to like trying to outthink themselves and be like, oh, Atlanta, Seattle, they're two concentrated offenses. Well, yeah, they're also two shitty offenses. Like in a week like this, where we have like 6 high profile, like high game total games, you don't need to like dig into those lower opportunity streets, or I guess lower upside streets. Because if you think about like potential outcomes, like, yes, a guy like DK Metcalf could outscore, somebody who's priced higher in DFS or like going higher ADP in this. But like, if you think about his range of outcomes, DK Metcalf's like 80% outcome would be like some of these wide receivers, 60% outcome. So you're basically just bleeding EV if you think about it that way.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that idea a lot. One game that I've been targeting late here, or two man I've been targeting, is Kyler Murray and Marquise Brown. Um, they're kind of going sometimes as cup runbacks, but if we just think of Kyler's ceiling all by himself, no Rondell again, maybe no James Conner. Kyler's just a flat out baller and can win a game by himself, right? And he utilizes his legs so well. And then you have a break the slate, high upside, deep threat, who in theory, these players will be chasing points. I like it a lot, even if it's not paired with Cup and it's just kind of like a one off. And then similar to that, in another quality game environment, I really like Burrow and Higgins because Burrow is basically free right now, and Higgins is a fourth, fifth rounder who early in the week wasn't even getting drafted because of the question mark tag. You gonna poke some holes in that, or do you kind of agree with both of those?
Love the Arizona call.
Yeah.
At some point, Kyler and Cliff are gonna figure shit out.
Mhm.
Whether or not that happens this week, who knows? But I'll keep targeting that offense and the talent specifically at quarterback.
Yeah.
And then the other one you mentioned was Cincinnati.
Yeah, the Burrow
Yeah,
plus Higgins, because Chase is a first round pick, right? And
yeah,
we're looking at what's presumably a pretty ugly pass funnel with two teams that, though the Bengals haven't thrown over expectation yet, they've kind of been around mixing. We're looking at a game environment where those two could shoot out back and forth and, Jets chase points kind of deal.
yeah. I mean, Jets lead the league in pass attempts per game right now at like something
Mm-hmm.
stupid, but
Yeah.
yeah, that game
Although
could go off.
one point to that Crane brought up in his article might just be the fact that the Ravens came out throwing, so they tried to just go toe to toe with them throwing. And then when they played, oh shit, who'd they play the second week? I can't remember who they played the
Yeah,
second
dude,
week.
I'm drawing blank. Hold on, I'll
They
find it.
they but he basically illustrated the fact that it's like, oh, they might just be a pass funnel, and they might have just been like, that's how you beat this team.
The Browns.
So yeah, Browns might just be a pass funnel, right? Oh yeah, that crazy game that they somehow came back and won with the weird onside kick. I have no idea how I forgot that, but yeah, just food for thought when we're trying to pick through this like early stuff, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. Paul coming in here with JM mentioned the always a Viking on Pete show today.
Did he really?
I
Nice.
like it. Yeah.
It's a law around the streets, dude.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of makes sense. The offense is just like four players, and
Yeah.
it's four players, a huge total. Like Thielen's not going drafted in here. I've drafted him a
Yeah.
couple
My
times,
dude.
right?
I
Yeah,
love
like
Thielen.
I've just picked him a couple times. He's basically a tight end in the red zone. Like who's to say Jefferson doesn't go 6, 115 and 0, and Thielen goes 4, 35 and 2, right? Like they score the same amount of points, or Thielen outscores them slightly, right? Like,
Yeah, dude.
yeah, it's just
So we have a 2-game sample, right? If you look at Minnesota, like Justin Jefferson's like team air yard share went from like 35% last year, and Thielen was right around that at like 32%. He's up at like 53% to start the year this year. So one, that's not sustainable. Two, we have a 2-game sample. Is Thielen dead? I don't think so, dude. He's played all but 5 offensive snaps this year. That doesn't scream he's past his peak to me.
right.
So yeah, I'm all over Thielen this year or this week as a nice leverage piece.
Yeah, I like that. Let's do two quick ones, and then let's just jump into a draft or two here.
Okay.
And then just kind of talk it through as we go. Favorite player who's conceivably going undrafted right now, someone who's deep. And I'll you think about it for a second. I'll give you mine.
Yeah.
Mine is someone you kind of poo-pooed on me on Twitter the other day.
Uh-oh.
Was Kamara. Kamara is my favorite undrafted player right now. I think there's a path where they don't get Jameis, they don't get Taysom Hill, and they get Andy Dalton back there, and Andy Dalton just finds 5 dump offs to Kamara. I don't know if he plays. I think it's trending in the right direction. I've been buying me some first round talent level player in the 6th round in these contests / undrafted.
Yeah, I think my response to that on Twitter was like rib cartilage fractures are a bigger deal for a running back than a quarterback. I think is what I said.
Yeah.
Yeah, my only worry, I can't like argue that from a theoretical perspective. My only worry would be like Kamara taking one elbow or helmet or crown or shoulder to the ribs and being like, yeah, dude, deuces, I'm done with this.
Right. Yeah. And just being like, yeah, we're down 17. Like I'm out,
Yeah.
like if it, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. No, I mean, it's very viable and it's super high variance, but like, I'm not looking for 80% exposure on Kamara. I'm looking for,
Yeah.
the field has 0 and I have 20, like something like that. And then if he doesn't play, I get a swap for Montgomery or something like that. Someone else who's going undrafted, but is going to be cash game chalk, presumably cash game chalk on DK at least. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I was trying to think like, is a running back worth even saying? Because I think for like my answer, if it's not Kamara, is a running back like even worth saying? Like an undrafted one can win the week, because on a format where you only need one running back, like it's just like it's almost you need the nuts or nothing, right? Is that kind of how
Yep.
it's these contests play?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have enough backscraped data yet to definitively say. We chalked up kind of what you can do with the flex in one of the previous shows this week, just talking about, hey, should we be, because it's half PPR, should we be building 2 running back builds more frequently, or should we be bully tight end and getting unique by having Kelsey Andrews, or, like those kind of moves. I think I gravitate to 3 wide receiver builds just because of the ceiling associated with them in theory. Yeah.
It would be theoretically optimal to have the highest variance, widest range of outcomes the most, which would be wide receiver
as your flex. Yeah.
As your flex. Yeah.
Yes. Because and that's the same principle that stems from like DK GPP lineups, is you're basically always playing wide receiver in the flex, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but do you have a deep wide receiver there?
I was thinking about it. I think my answer to my own question, I think is, and I'm just like trying to make up this like theory on the spot, basically, like how would this like play out? I think the answer is you need like the nuts or the nuts Bravo, like the second nuts.
Yeah, Jason too. Yep.
At running back. So I think it's not worth me even like giving like a low owned DFS like running back. I think you just need to hit. You just need to hit. So that goes out the window. For wide receiver, yeah, let me get you a name here. I'll give you 2. How about that?
Okay. Sounds good.
The first is actually, I might give you 3, dude. Shoot.
Okay, let's hit it. The 3, I mean, people be swimming in it. I'll be drafting all 3 all night.
All right, so I already gave Jahan Dotson. He's probably going in the last round, right?
He's basically undrafted unless he's a bring back. Yep.
Yeah. So him, Chris Olave, who I don't know, is he getting steamed?
Not really. No, everybody's kind of on the Michael Thomas in the 5th round, and then not really reaching for the Olave. But buying those air yards makes a lot of sense. Buying that opportunity. I don't know if Jameis or Dalton is better for him. I have no idea. Depending what we get this weekend.
I don't think it matters, to be honest.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
Jameis is the YOLO streaker. Like if he sees a dude in one-on-one coverage, he's going to throw him the football. Olave can do that. What I would be interested to see is if Olave's route tree would change with Dalton, who is more of a timing and throw the wide receiver open type wide receiver or quarterback.
Yeah,
so
2-3 step drop rhythm guy,
right? Yeah, he's a timing and throw the wide receiver open. So like timing and communication is key. So how they would like alter Olave's route tree to account for that, where it's not like Jameis YOLO, I'm gonna chuck, would be interesting to me. But like, yeah, Olave and Dotson were my like off season
darlings.
They were kind of my rookie wide receivers who I thought could challenge for the overall rookie wide receiver one.
Do you know not to put you on the spot, but do you know
Yeah.
positionally where Olave has been lining up for the majority of his routes? Has it been like rotational, or has he been like in the slot exclusively, and that's why Landry's been quote unquote deeper A dot and that sort of thing?
The Z and the Y. So like
Oh, okay.
standard.
Yeah.
Their offense isn't exactly like per the book, like football X's and O's and Z's and Y's and shit.
Yeah.
But he's been lining up primarily off the line of scrimmage or in as the motion man.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's probably optimal for him. That's more or less like,
Yeah.
I think he could be an X guy, but I think that's a better fit for him.
Yeah, I mean, like not with Michael Thomas there. He's like the X.
Right.
He's just the X, dude.
Yeah, like
yeah.
Joe Lombardi made him into that player, right?
Yeah, exactly.
For years, right?
The third one would probably be another rookie, Treylon Burks. The reason that I list 3 rookies is because we're entering the like time of year where historically the rookies are becoming more involved. We didn't necessarily see that easing in of Jahan Dotson and Olave, but like this is historically, like especially with the Treylon Burks type who got off to a slow start in camp. This is historically like when weeks 3, 4, and 5 is like the breakout zone for rookie wide receivers.
Yeah, I think it's a really sharp point to be like ahead of the field on speculative players that could break out, right?
Yeah.
Opposed to like, hey, how are we going to find the dusty old dude who's going to catch 2 touchdowns in the end zone this week? Like, I think it's cool to be like, hey, let's isolate who could be these alphas before they're alphas, and that's how we get ahead of the field. And all of those players that you introduced are basically free, but they also have very nice bring back pieces, right? Because the Raiders are going very high. So we're getting Adams and Waller, most likely no Renfro or guaranteed no Renfro this week. And everyone's like quote unquote bring back for that is Derrick Henry in the 3rd or 4th round, right? Like he's going third or 4th. So if someone's going to that game environment, they're going Henry plus Waller or Henry plus Adams. Now all of a sudden we flip the script and we go, how about Treylon in our 6th pick? So we take Adams in the 1st, we build out whatever the fuck we want in the middle, and then we go boom, Treylon at the end, right?
Yeah, because you're accounting for a game environment that's not being accounted for by the field, like we talked about earlier. And like this could be a result of who the Raiders have played this season, because they played the Chargers and the Cardinals. But the Raiders are the number 1 defense versus power run sets, which is Derrick Henry's wheelhouse.
Well, I don't know if Thorne's article about like defensive line versus offensive line mismatch or whatever highlighted the shit out of that last week. It was just like, oh yeah, the defensive line of the Raiders is legit, and it's going to stuff whomever is running in the backfield for Arizona. And it
I did
100% accurate. Yeah. So I mean, if that carries over to this week, there's no reason to think that doesn't carry over to this week, given the results of last. I haven't read the article yet, or even if the article's out, but just thinking out loud.
Yeah. And like you being the number 1 rated defensive line against power run formations, which is a heavy formation. So either a 21 formation with a fullback or a 12 personnel formation with 2 tight ends. So additional blockers within the box is basically like a heavy formation. Think of it that way. Being the number 1 defense against that, which is like the primary rushing utilization for Derrick Henry, is not like a good thing. That said, like Henry is the player who in the right game environments can like just get 35 rush attempts and just crush the world and fall into the end zone 3 times. But this is not like a good on paper matchup. So thinking about like other ways that game environment might play out, I like Treylon there a lot.
Yeah, I think that's really sharp. And I really like the getting ahead of Treylon instead of like, hey, let's just try and run it back and hope it's Woods week. And Woods kind of was down last week, blah, 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 and chase that, maybe he's not old and dust, but it's the wrong guy to chase, in my opinion. And that's why I was all over Treylon in the Monday night contest last week and whatnot. But yeah, no, I think those are really sharp ones to isolate. What do we fire 1 or 2 drafts here and call it a day?
Let's do it, dude.
Can you see this well? Do I need to zoom in, zoom out?
No, you got it. That's fine.
Okay, cool. Let's try and get weird with these ones, given all the contextuality of our conversation, right?
Ooh,
Like
that's a fun word.
Oh yeah, smart guys only. Yeah.
No, I was just sounding kinky.
I don't even know if it's a made up word.
I don't know. Might be.
Context and sexuality just joined
together.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Whoa. Yeah, come watch our fantasy show. Yeah.
Oh, Nez is in there. You guys run a lot against each other?
I would try not to. I mean, I don't want to be in the room.
You blew it.
He's a sharp badge bro. Yeah. All right. We got that number 2
Oh,
pick
wait,
here.
what? Josh Jacobs didn't travel with the team?
No, yeah, it looks like he's done. Yeah, I was reading that earlier too. Yeah, just highlighting practice report stuff there. I mean, no Jacobs and presumably no Renfro, and it's just like, wow, that offense is like very tightly concentrated now.
Renfro is out.
Definitively, yeah.
Definitively. Josh Jacobs' illness did not travel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, pushing up the tight end, right? Oh, James getting in the draft with us. Let's go. Love to see it.
All right, where are we at? Are we doing the mini Detroit again?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where our eyes have constantly been gravitating toward. I think it's probably my highest owned game environment right now. I don't have
that's your highest. Go Digs.
Oh, no, it's okay. Too late. Yeah.
I wanted to get weird within the confines of Buffalo and see if we could put some.
Okay, we'll try and do that next time.
Yeah.
Let's see here. But yeah, I mean, we can get weird within the confines of this game too. So
true.
Yeah. I mean, what you thinking out loud? Like we could run a double with Thielen and then get Cousins. Like Cousins pretty deep off the board too, or like maybe tight ends thin. We can go to Irv as like a late and then go a double like that. I think the way touchdowns are scored in a 6-person roster, that a single stack is probably going to turn out to be optimal more frequently in a large field contest. I think if this was a 500-person contest, getting consolidated with both pass catchers and one pocket passer makes more sense than in a 50K entry contest. But that's just me. I think because DFS, like there's so many more roster spots, right? There's so many different ways to differentiate. Like you have a game stack and you have 4 pieces. Well, like you have 5, 6 other ones still on DraftKings. On here, we only have 2 other components. So you really have to slam that game. And what are we asking from that game? Well, we're asking it to be the highest scoring game on the slate. We're asking it to be the most concentrated touchdowns to these 3 or 4 players. And then we're asking for it to be, I think we just have to do this.
I think
I don't think I've had a chase. Maybe I've had one Chase Jefferson maybe. I don't know. Taylor and McCaffrey here. This is a weird board right now. I like that people are getting weird with it and straying from ADP. I like this. Jag on the N here going Allen, Kelsey. I've seen it once or twice because everyone who's going to have Allen is gravitating towards, okay, we're on the clock again. They went double running back there.
Double running back?
Yeah. We have Andrews available. We could get weird by getting Cooks in the same game. We could run naked Lamar. Shit, we got 5 seconds.
Hurts.
Hurts. All right.
Yeah, I'll talk about it after.
Okay, sure. Let's do it. Sounds good to me. Hurts is QB1 for you this week then?
No.
Oh,
not
Allen.
Necessarily. Yeah. Okay. Allen is, but I think that there are ways to. The first 2 picks that we took are players in expected good game environments.
Okay.
The other players that were on the board, you could have made a case like Kyle Pitts is a guy who we just talked about who's not in one of the top 6 game environments.
I would never take him over Andrews.
Yeah, so and even then, Andrews is playing New England, who historically just they live and
scheme out the best player.
Yeah, exactly. So the thinking there was capturing more exposure to as many of the, not as many because we can't really do that, but like getting more exposure to the high or the good game environments on the week.
Cool.
Because that leaves us outs to build around these game environments differently later on in the draft, in the sense that we could either not utilize a bring back. We can leave Hurts naked. We could do all these things. We have all these tools that we can still utilize, where we can still build differently around the field, because I feel like a lot of people go into like best ball drafts just like, I'll finish it later.
Okay, let's finish the thought after. These drafts go quick, man. Do we want to stack it, or do we want to?
These are the options I was saying. So if we didn't take Hurts, we wouldn't have those. I would say Goddard here for sure, and then we still have options after that.
Okay, and then in terms of the components that we currently have, are we looking to stack with this Minnesota-Detroit game? Swift is gone, but are we looking to find a different way to get weird with Detroit and, Chark or something like that? Or are we going to go? Okay, let's hear it.
Gabe Davis, further exposure to a high-end game environment.
Okay, I like it. He's my third highest owned player right now.
Okay, cool. So if you look at our roster, scroll down over there on the right after you make this pick.
Okay.
So we have exposure to 4 of the expected top 5 offenses and 4 of the top 6 game environments.
Yep.
And we have our tight end paired with our quarterbacks. So now we just need to bring in a running back, right? We have one more pick. Yeah. Yep.
And then we have to find.
I'm not going to say who.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm interested to see who you say before I say, and I want you to say it first and see if we're on the same page here, because there's one name that really jumps out for me right here.
There's 3 that jump out for me, but
okay, sure.
I don't want to say them. They're all for different reasons too.
Okay.
We might get our pick. We might get our pick because everyone else has a running back already.
These guys both have to go quarterback, so we can speak freely right now.
All right. First choice would be Leonard Fournette. Second choice would be Derrick Henry. Third choice would be Miles Sanders. All for very different reasons.
Okay, sorry. You said Leonard Fournette, and then you said Derrick Henry
and Miles
Sanders.
And
then Miles Sanders.
Real quick, let's talk about Miles Sanders. Would be saying the Eagles just completely shit-waxed the Washington Commanders. Derrick Henry would be that it's just an elite talent. You're just leveraging. He's dropped so far to the 6th round. And then Leonard Fournette matchup, and he has nobody else pass catches playing.
Healthy around there. Yeah. Okay, let's go with Lenny in this one. And in terms of that, I like the thought process a lot too. Another one that jumps out for me is Clyde, because though he is not in the same level of elite talent in that same regard, he's also a bet against everyone who selected Mahomes, Kelsey, whatever else early, right? So we're leveraging the exposed ownership of those players by then selecting him. Whereas with Leonard Fournette, no other Tampa Bay player went. Not that that's a bad thing, just suggesting that CEH represents leverage against players who are getting 100% drafted in that build. Now, I don't know if that's a good thing, a bad thing, if that's sharp, optimal, whatever. It was just where my eyes gravitated towards was like, hey, we built around all these quality game environments. Well, we think that other game environment is pretty damn good as well, right? So why not just bet all the touchdowns run through CEH, who's had nice usage so far this year? I don't know.
I'm going to amend my recommendations for the 6th round to only Derrick Henry and Leonard Fournette and leave out Miles Sanders, because I think it goes back to our discussion earlier where only one running back, I think you have to hit the nuts or the secondary nuts.
Right. And we don't think Miles Sanders can be the highest scoring player on the slate at running back, especially when he's paired with Hurts and Goddard.
Yeah.
Like, but basically we're asking that team to score 6 touchdowns.
And like probably Sanders to get 3 of them.
Right.
So,
yeah. Right. Yeah.
Just because he's probably like 16 to 18 touches is like just the range of outcomes for, I think, Miles Sanders on a standard week. And I think like most weeks he's going to fall within there because like they don't have a reason to just run him into the ground because they have Boston Scott and Kenneth Gainwell to back him up. So,
right. Yeah. You want to run another one of these $5 in the big contest, or do you want to try and? I don't really want to fire a single entry. I'll fire the 100 though. Let's see if anyone wants to jump the 100. We could fire the 100, and it's the exact same format, exact same contest, and it's like multi-entry.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 6K up top, so it's like a little flatter. 9 max entries. I haven't fired one yet. I probably will do all 9 this weekend.
What's the field size?
It's much smaller. I think it's like 300. It doesn't matter. I don't think it's gonna fill right now. Like it was basically a shot in the dark if we jump in here, and then there had already been like 4 or 5 people waiting.
Yeah.
These ones take a while, but
yeah, do a $5.
Yeah, girlfriend's out of town and on a cruise this weekend, so I'm just gonna be drafting away. Like when you're a young man and everybody's like, the girlfriend's out of town, the wife's out of town, whatever, and you're just like, oh yeah, man, I'm gonna call up all the boys. We're gonna slam some beers. Let's go, like that kind of thing. Like now, I'm just like, I'm gonna order a nice pizza. I'm just gonna hang out. I'm gonna have a nice little pizza. I'm gonna pet my dog. I'm gonna, I might have 2 or 3, and I'm just gonna draft some teams. That's just what I'm about,
Yeah.
All right, let's fire. Let's
coffee table because I'm a man. I'm doing man things.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's good. Let's fire 1 or 2 more of these and then call it a day. These things are quick though.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk through that though. Derrick Henry. Nez bringing up the fact that Derrick Henry going undrafted there. I mean, we talked about the matchup, how we don't think it's the greatest spot, but we also know the ceiling of what Derrick Henry break the slate looks like, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Yeah.
It's like that goes back to the idea of like DFS and ownership. If Derrick Henry is like falling in a single draft, I don't need a bigger sample. That means like that tells me all I need to know about like how the field views him this week.
Right.
And so that might be a situation to leverage. Like if we had Devontae Adams on that last team, like Henry was the smash, right? Like,
right.
It was just, I think the way that we had built getting exposure to game environments first, I think made the most sense.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's macro level thinking that's applied to specific scenarios.
Yeah, and you got to do it within 30 seconds.
Yeah,
but that's the fun.
Right, exactly. And like, I don't know, I think that's why in my own eyes, like I think I have like a pretty big edge in this is like coming from 12 tabling poker. Like I do 5 of these things at a time and don't blink an eye. It's just kind of like when I'm in that zone, I'm not going to make mistakes, like quote unquote mistakes. And I don't need to have projections uploaded. I don't need to have like this sort of thing. We're on the clock here. We can go Kelsey Allen build. We can go back to Chase and start with that Adams. If we think the passing game is going to be pretty concentrated there. What do you want?
Yeah, let's do Adams, dude. Let's mix this one up.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, there's a chance they just come out against like a bad defense there, and they're just like, okay, here we go, 40 attempts, right? Like 45 attempts, and they're all Adams and Waller. Like they both just go like 8+ targets each kind of deal.
Yeah, and the Raiders already had like a top 7 pass rate over expectation, and you have to think as opposed to feeding a rookie running back, they're behind like a bottom 10 offensive line that they're going to be just chucking.
Right. Yo, do you remember, was Zamir White healthy and active the first week?
He was.
Oh, you want to get weird and do this? Run naked Allen here? Like Allen kind of doesn't really fall till 9 that often.
Where'd Gabe go already?
No. We can get Gabe late.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Gabe has been Gabe's been this kind of like ADP hasn't adjusted, sleeping darling. That's one of my most exposed players who's just sitting down here at 33 right now because he had the Q tag beside him all week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting here because now we can kind of build out a bit of that game stack if we want to too. We could go like Waddle, Gabe, and then kind of get weird elsewhere, or we could go like double with Knox, Gabe. I don't know. Yeah. A lot of fun stuff opening up. I guess like this is kind of the dream. I don't think it ever happens for us, but it's kind of the dream.
Nez. Oh, I thought he took him. Never mind. He's gonna take him right here.
He's gonna take Andrews. Nez is a tight end early guy. Actually, I think he really likes Waller too.
Gross, dude. No, I'm just kidding. Say what?
Yeah, that's another thing about these contests that Nez is saying thanks for playing defense because, we could have given him this from the 3 spot stack right there with Josh Allen, and Josh Allen plus Diggs is pretty hard to obtain right now. To be honest, I wasn't thinking that far ahead.
Do it.
Yep. I think that's a layup for us.
There's there's at least something to be said about having a discussion about Waddle versus Hill, but with Waddle being further down the board, it's going to be more combinations. So you might as well just go Tyreek there.
Yeah, I agree with that. My only combinations of Allen and Tyreek on the same team have come from the 4 or 5 slot where you take Allen first in the first round and then flip him back. Wow. You know what I mean? Right? Like that's
so basically, we added Devontae to that.
Right. Yeah.
That's interesting.
And that's where we get into like product owned versus some owned talking DFS, right?
Yeah.
What do you like here? Do you like we could double stack that Vegas game and get an elite tight end? I don't really want Waddle as this. I kind of want this Gabe Davis if we can get it, or Derrick Henry is a game stack there. Who do you like?
Go Gabe, dude. Go Gabe.
And just take them and then figure the rest out? Okay, cool.
Yeah, because it would be the dream here is Gabe Henry, right?
Yeah, but I think if the dream was Gabe Henry, we should have taken Henry first.
Okay.
Right? Like just given the construction.
Okay.
Because
I fucked
Gabe's
up.
Gabe's ADP was lower.
I fucked up. He was higher on your queue, so
it's just because I queued him.
Yeah, I was looking in the wrong spot. That was on me. Okay. Yeah. Let's run it again. Let's do it again.
Yeah. We got to get it back now.
Yeah. It's like when we missed the mix in the first one we did together.
Yeah, when we took the tight end for no reason in front.
Yeah.
And we admitted our mistake as we were doing it.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Waller with Adam unstacked, like as in no Carr?
I think it's viable because Josh Allen very clearly could still outscore Carr, even if Carr throws 5 touchdowns, Josh Allen could still outscore him.
It's kind of nuts like that. We don't have the decision anyways. Yeah. We only have running back or tight end here. Do you want to take Pitts as kind of like the last elite tight end, or do you want to wait and then kind of get some weird correlation? We can also get Knox later. We got 10 seconds.
Go Lenny again.
Okay. So we're on Lenny this week. I like it.
And then we have options basically.
Yeah, sure.
Like Tyler Higbee. Tyler Higbee is like 18 targets over 2 weeks, playing every snap. And
he's one of those names you just don't want to click on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. A name that I didn't bring up earlier in the Washington Philly discussion was Logan Thomas.
Logan Thomas,
he's probably going undrafted, right?
Yeah, more or less. I've seen him go once or twice. I've taken him once.
Yeah, there's only 6 tight ends that go, right, on a standard draft. So
yeah, occasionally you get 7 if someone double taps. But yeah, the tight end position is the ownership consolidates very densely around the onesies position, so around the quarterback and the tight end. Ownership goes, I mean, quarterback obviously expands more because people build out stacks, but tight end, I mean, it's real narrow unless someone's stacking with a weird quarterback, right?
Yeah, dude. So Logan Thomas went from.
I think this makes a lot of sense here, though.
What's that? Sorry.
Knox as a double, or do you want to go?
No, that's nice too because it's a double without Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Or wait, yeah, it's a double without Stephon Diggs.
I kind of feel like I think most people's eyes in a setup like this will gravitate to Knox, but I'm not overly concerned about that. Just the way that we have the build as a double stack and that we have Lenny, whereas other people who build it out will build it out differently, in my opinion. But I don't know. That might be kind of chalkier than we intended, but
I don't think it is, dude, because Devontae Adams in the first and then Josh Allen and Tyreek after that is
that's a good point.
Leverage to begin with. So
right.
I mean, we might have given it back with Gabe, the Gabe mistake, but I still think it's unique enough to not have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's fair. Last one.
All right, he's gonna do one more.
All right, one more.
Let's get a clean one without any mistakes.
Yeah, no, but I mean that's half the battle in these contests, right? And then you figure half the player pool is only building like 5 to 10 of them, and they're probably making mistakes. I don't know what the frequency distribution of mistakes being made
87%.
There you go, nailed it, right? I just commonly 80, and we were talking about it the other night in terms of the. Oh shoot, I can't remember if it was the 2-game Monday night slate where it's just kind of like people will make mistakes where they take the quarterback 6 spots before they have to because they don't recognize the fact that the other 2 teams behind them already have a quarterback. And little stuff like this, like little margins of edges like that, when I'm building multiple lineups, that just gives me exposure to combinations that wouldn't and shouldn't normally be available, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, we got the 104 this time. I think we've kind of just been in this 2, 3, 4 range. All of them, right? Yeah, let's talk about this. What Nez said, the playing defense thing, because it's something that I've talked about at a decent frequency, but you and I probably haven't talked about. Is just kind of like, I know I'm going to have a lot of bullets. I know I'm going to have close to 150. I most likely, just given the man hours you have to put in, may not get there, but I'm going to have 100 of these. And knowing the fact that I've done 55 of them so far, and I have 0 Diggs plus Allen, we're on the clock here. You want to try a Kelsey build this time because we did an Allen one last time, or do you like someone else in this range?
No, let's do it.
Okay. And just given the fact that I've done like 50 whatever of these so far, and I know I only have 1 Allen plus Diggs, and I know how hard it is to get, let alone if you get it from the 103, right? So at some point, when you're getting unique in these contests, you still have to be mindful of the fact that like this isn't DFS. You can't just be like, oh, we're going in the Millie Maker. I'm going to leave $5,000 salary on the table and I'm going to play the Jags and whatever, right? Like, you still have to play a little defense, right?
And that's just keep an eye on the draft board. In best ball, I typically didn't do that until like the end of the second round, the 2-3 turn. Here you kind of got to be pretty quick and Johnny on the spot about it, right?
Yeah. Taylor just went, which is a really nice natural correlation. Who do you like here?
You could go Allen.
And just go, hey, we got the 2 alpha pieces in these 2 game environments. Yeah, the last draft when I can't remember who it was. I think it was Jag again. He did the double tap on the corner there of Allen. Yeah. Allen Kelsey. We noted how much, okay, that's a fun way to, get exposure to both those game environments without just getting the natural combo that everybody gravitates to, which is, either Kelsey plus Taylor or Kelsey plus Mahomes, right?
Where's Pittman at?
Pittman's going in like the 20-something range. I've been grabbing him a decent amount. His ADP says 31 right now. He had the Q tag beside him all week.
Yeah.
I have him built out as the run back, both with JT and without JT. So just kind of like, Mahomes, Kelsey plus Pittman. I also have, Mahomes, Kelsey, Pittman plus JT in like a double-double.
Yeah, I was just curious. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, we are praying for one player right here, in my opinion. Let's get it.
Get him.
I think that is a beautiful
that's
thing right there.
Right? Yeah, that's a gift.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen Amon-Ra go third round
Dalvin won't
all
fall
that much.
Dalvin
I probably wouldn't say it out loud. I would just probably internalize that thought.
No, dude. We got one guy who doesn't have a running back here, so we got to fade him. We got to fade Justin Lawrence.
There you go. Yeah, I don't know what we're talking about with the builds and stuff, but a lot of people are gravitating to 2 running back builds in these. And I think it's the context of the slate matters. I think on the 2-gamer last night, 2 running backs made a lot of sense when you're dealing with Chubb, Najee, Javonte Williams, and Hunt, and Jeff Wilson all on the same slate. It's kind of like, maybe 2 running backs is going to be optimal on a 2-game slate with all these pieces in 2 quote-unquote low-scoring game environments.
We did it, dude.
No, we didn't.
Oh, come on. Mother son of a trucker.
Yeah. That's good. No. We could pile on and we could just double stack with no bring back in that game environment, or we could just build out something different. Take Eckler. I don't know how you feel about Eckler this week.
Not Swift.
We're taking Eckler.
All right, dude.
You got clocked.
That's fine.
Yeah,
I don't know. Eckler's our jinx.
Eckler's interesting this week, like just in general. I don't know if Herbert goes. I think it's obviously better if Herbert goes for him. We don't really know if Keenan Allen will go either. This Chargers offense could look amazing or it could look really bleak, and the Jags kind of get a bit of a cookie in terms of like the opposition they're facing with like Chase Daniel at quarterback. And then all of a sudden this game environment's kind of gross, and the only piece you want is maybe on the Jags size, and it's Kirk. I don't know.
Go to the draft board, dude. I want to see why the hell that dude took Raheem Mostert. Like, what is you doing, dude?
Yeah, I think he's just building out a contrarian. Buffalo. Yeah, full contrarian Miami stack and then bringing it back. I mean, I don't like it, but I get it. It like kind of makes sense. He's going to be
on a week
unique.
Like this.
That's fair.
Doesn't make as much sense on a week with 6 high game total games. Like last week would have been a more optimal way to do it, but even then, you're basically
clock right here. We could hit a Pittman. Pittman bring back there. And then Pittman's nice leverage against JT too, who's 100% drafted. I mean, Pittman's pushing 100% drafted at this point now too, especially when late swaps come in and other players are out and unavailable. And then Pittman becomes the default swap for people because he's the highest rated in ADP.
Yeah. Go Gabe again if he makes it.
Yeah, just as like, that's our spot in that game. Like we get a 1 stack there, and then I like that.
Because then
where do your eyes gravitate as a backup plan there?
I think we need to look
a bit further down.
I guess maybe Swift.
Yeah. I think Swift is interesting to see him get pushed this far. It normally goes 3-4 or whatever. And I think Swift Gabe plus Amon-Ra's like not bad. Yeah, I think Gabe's the fact that we have Allen, like I think Gabe's the answer here. And it's pretty cool because I'm not sure how many people will have like the stack without the Miami side, right?
Yeah, and that goes to kind of what we talked about at the beginning of this whole jam sesh was like there's other ways for that game to play out, and like Buffalo just waxing Miami is a valid outcome.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I think I tried to do the draft board share, but then it just, I'm a fish. Whatever.
You blew it.
I blew it. I'm going to see more. Yeah. So, I mean, like, it's interesting to think about onslaughts and just in terms of how they play in the dynamic of these fields. I think you're asking a lot of one game environment, but it also is recency bias after last week and seeing that like, whoa, all the points came from that Baltimore plus Miami game. So now all of a sudden it's kind of like, well, yeah, that's how you win these tournaments, right? You got to bang out these onslaughts. But I think your point's really sharp in saying that, yeah, not on this slate necessarily. Like it didn't have to be that way on this slate. Yeah, because last week we were provided one very amazing game environment and then one that everybody else who was kind of sharp and in the know gravitated towards, and that was kind of it, right? Whereas this week we could see 5-6 games with more than 50 points combined, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. All right, we I think we drafted a couple okay ones there. No, not amazing, not our best effort, but another quality one in the books there. Thanks, Mark. We'll see you next week sometime, and be sure to be reading his OWS stuff. The end around comes out tomorrow afternoon, something
Saturday
like that.
Mornings. Yep.
Saturday morning. So get that. Read his write-ups on the Edge. Read his blurbs on NBC, and just remember he kind of looks like Jeff Garcia sometimes. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm gonna dress up. I'm gonna get a jersey, I think, this year.
There you go. There Halloween. It is, baby. All right. Peace, Badge Brigade.